The film The Exorcist is not safe for work, and as such neither is this YouTube video particularly. And why are you watching this at work? Unless you're a lazy, time-travelling movie critic from 1973? You are? Okay, let's crack on. Welcome to No Need to Watch.
Hello, do you like watching parents in distress? Do you enjoy watching children undergo traumatizing surgery? Do you wish clergymen were the new action heroes? If the answer is not particularly, I can spare you a fairly unpleasant couple of hours. The Exorcist first came out in 1973 and was initially given a tiny run in less than 30 theatres until Warner realised they had a hit in there. Possession. If you've heard anything at all about it, it's that it's full of gruesome effects and language, a little girl with her head spinning round, and the sinister sound of Mike Oldfield organising his metal pipe collection. You may have even heard it's the scariest film ever made. The Exorcist opens with a massive location sequence where hundreds of people are excavating an archaeological site in northern Iraq. They seem to have blown 98% of the budget on this, leaving around $120 for special effects later on in the film. Still, that's plenty for a few cans of pea soup. And some ketchup, and some ice cream cones to stick on a Virgin Mary. The reason this opening sequence is usually forgotten by people who've seen it is partly because nothing happens in it, and partly because it's just bad storytelling. It's supposed to establish that Max von Sydow is a priest, and he faces down a demon called Pazuzu, and he's taking heart pills to show that if he ever had to face Pazuzu again, he'd probably have a heart attack, okay? Cut to Georgetown in Washington, D.C., where for some reason a woman called Chris, why not, is living in a rented house and filming a movie about closing a school down. Doesn't look like a very good movie, although at this stage there's a lot more going on in that than there is in The Exorcist. Chris's path keeps crossing with a dishy priest called Karas, who's facing his own parallel struggles. His old mum is in New York and having a rotten time, but again, at least not watching The Exorcist. Meanwhile, in Georgetown, Chris thinks she hears rats in the attic, and her 12-year-old daughter, Reagan, I know, starts using a Ouija board to talk to someone called Captain Howdy. Anyway, in parallel, we watch the priest's mum get banged up in a home where she's miserable, he looks miserable, Chris looks like she'd be miserable enough anyway, even if her daughter wasn't gate-crashing her cocktail parties and weeing on the floor, because it was the 70s, and I think everyone was depressed generally anyway. Chris starts sending her daughter for tests, which uses that device which I absolutely hate, namely the flash frame subliminal thing, which always messes me right up. I'll tell you what, we'll do some cute subliminals here to act as a counterpoint to the really awful bits. Reagan's behaviour gets weirder, using language that would turn the air blue, like let Jesus you, and the time-honoured classic, your mother sucks in hell. Classic redacted bants. What's perhaps a little comforting is to learn that even back then, audiences were less disturbed by the demonic nonsense than they were by the surgical tests, which included real procedures like pneumoencephalography, which was the precursor to MRI and CAT scans. Now that is horror. Meanwhile, the priest's mum's dead. He has a nasty dream complete with flash frames. Chris gets home and there's a demon face flash frame on her extractor fan. Burke, the director of Chris's film, is dead. Everyone's a critic. And, well, we don't know for sure if Reagan did it, but maybe her doing a crab walk down the stairs and vomiting blood is a clue. Finally, the doctors give up and suggest, hey, an exorcism? Finally, thank you! Meanwhile, a detective is investigating and keeps asking the priest out to the movies. Get a room already, you two, jeez! A crucifix has appeared in Reagan's room, and in a rather distressing scene, Reagan turns her head right the way round and does something very impolite with the crucifix, which I don't think nice boys and girls like you need to worry your pretty little heads about. But for some reason, Father Karras wants to see more evidence, so brings his tape recorder and does an experiment with flicking holy water over Reagan, except it is not holy water, it is tap water. It burns! Screams Reagan, and having spent 2 years living in DC and seeing what the tap water there does to houseplants, I cannot say I am surprised. Turns out Reagan's gibberish was her talking backwards about i.e. Max von Sydow, what was in Iraq earlier. He shows up looking just like the movie poster, only slightly less lifelike, and they crack on. I won't fully spoil it, other than to say it's a bit like a spoonful of sugar in reverse.
The power of Christ compels you!
To tidy your room, young lady! Father Merrin is one aspirin the wrong side of a heart attack. Bye-bye, Father. Father Karras sucks it up, as in Pazuzu, the demon spirit, walks to the balcony and lets gravity do its thing.
Job done. Bang! Final twist ending, though. The detective has totally got a thing for priests and asks the only surviving clergyman out on a date. The two of them walk away to the haunting refrain of Chocolate Rain by Tay Zonday.
Chocolate rain.
The Exorcist was nominated for 10 Oscars and was the first horror film to be nominated for Best Picture, if you don't count Deliverance, A Clockwork Orange, or The Sound of Music. The director demanded a lot from his actors, slapping them and firing a gun without warning to get the right looks of shock on their faces. Now, was it worth it? Well, look, is it a good film? Yes, it is, I think. Do you need to watch it? No, because you can't watch this film cold, even without me coming and wrecking the whole thing for you. You know so much about it already. So much of it is common cultural currency now, that very little of it is surprising. I watched The Exorcist for the first time a few days ago, and, well, I can't quite get it out of my mind. Ah! Sorry. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. And for more like this, click on the links. And if there's a movie that you can't be bothered to watch, let me know in the comments, because, it's rude to talk over the film. Shh. You shush. No one's going to download this now.